Article from PokeBeach. Pokemon TCG may be hinting at a summer or fall 2025 release for Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, I wanted to get straight into the article because this feels like an old school Pokemon leak breakdown, or when we dive into the merchandise in TCG to find out if there's any new Pokemon information we can get about the upcoming games. So, I like the idea of this. It's really cool, but unfortunately, the Pokemon community is just too weird for it right now, so we're going to break that down. But before we get into that, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends so they know what's going on, and comment your thoughts down below. Also, use code Verlisify for 20% off your G Fuel order. Best energy drink I've found. Tastes incredible, gives you the energy you need for work, school, gaming, all of that fun stuff. And Worlds is coming up, game news is coming up. You're going to want the caffeine. You're going to want to be stocked up. Find a flavor you like, 20% off, all of that cool stuff. So here's the thing. I respect the webmaster of PokeBeach, which is rare for me to respect anyone in the Pokemon community, especially after Joe Merrick went completely crazy. So I understand that you gotta play the game, especially if you're trying to run a Pokemon website. Because saying, oh, Pokemon Legends is looking to be later than expected, and there's kind of semi-official stuff backing that up, the Pokemon community is going to hear that as Legends Arceus delayed for higher quality, and it's going to get crazy views. But then we also see hundreds of thousands and maybe even millions of views on just fake Pokemon Legends ZA leak garbage. So Pokemon community is just crazy, but then the reactions also crazy. So again, we have to get into the reactions so I can just debunk all this nonsense before we actually get into the news. Sorry about that. Pokemon community is just horrible like that. So, good. Let them take as long as they need to. Except all the recent Pokemon games have taken as long as they needed to. We need a really good game. Just make Pokemon Coliseum and XD Girl of Dark. Where did that come from? This game, about to be amazing. Delaying a game doesn't mean it's going to be amazing. It can also be a bad sign. Because oh, there's still development issues and it's still going to end up rushed out. There is no magical equation that you just keep pouring time into a development project and then it only gets better. Also, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet launched as a finished game that had all the time it needed, which is why it's about to take over Pokemon Sword and Shield as the second highest selling Pokemon games, which makes it one of the highest selling video games of all time, and also highest grossing and stuff. A bad game doesn't do that, and the patches didn't really fix anything. The Nintendo Switch is so underpowered that even making multiple amounts of DLC isn't going to save that lake. Game Freak knew this. It's not worth putting 15%, 20% more development time to get 3% more quality out of the game, and no one should be that entitled to have that expectation. So yeah, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it launched great, and it has as many issues as any other modern release, if not less. Compared to a computer game, look at Elden Ring and its DLC, yeah, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, way less lag, way less glitches. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom ran about the same for me and crashed more. So, that's just how games work. So, this game about to be amazing. That doesn't make any sense. If it ends up being a launch title on Switch 2, that's incomprehensible right there. If it launched in 2026, these dudes just hate Pokemon so much they don't want Pokemon games to release anymore. And it does nothing. It doesn't change anything. Non-news. If it was early 2025, we'd know more about it. This person thinks they already have it figured out, even though they're completely wrong, because it took until August to get any more information about Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then too soon. Fall 2025 is too soon to these weirdos, and then again, taking as much time as needed. And the weird thing is, no one has that complaint about Pokemon Legends. It just came out a couple months later, but still shockingly early. When I saw January release, I was like, whoa, I thought it was going to be March. Even though it is a main series Pokemon game, I thought I was going to get a March, April spin-off game release window. So January was pretty crazy to see. And people still praise that game as one of the best Pokemon games ever made, or the best Pokemon game on Nintendo Switch, and giving it more time wouldn't have changed anything. Now, Pokemon Legends is the worst Pokemon game on the Switch, if not one of the worst Pokemon games ever made. So again, you can't save that by making it release in summer or fall of that year, because a flawed game is just going to be bad. Because such a flawed concept is just going to be permanently bad. I think even some Pokemon Legends Arceus fans said yeah, there were issues with the game, but we didn't see any of those things really get fixed with the update that they had, and then it only got one update, and then the game got buried. So time to catch up on Legends Arceus. Why? Like, why wait for that like that? Between real life and SV, I've neglected it most time. It's just a bad game. Like, you're wasting whatever free time you have left by spending any of it in Pokemon Legends Arceus. But it's also just like the hypocrisy. It's like, oh, every Pokemon game is bad except for Legends Arceus, and now this Legends game needs to be delayed more than Arceus. So, like, they can't think for themselves. It's actually NPC. It's actually just terminally online brain rot. But let's see what's going on here by the water. Pokemon Master himself. Pokemon TCG may be hinting at a later 2025 release for Pokemon Legends ZA. This is because TCG sets always release around the same time as new Pokemon games. Sword and Shield released on November 15th, 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. 2 weeks later, Sword and Shield sets hit store shelves in Japan. They introduced V and then referenced Dynamax Pokemon. So yeah, 2 weeks between Sword and Shield game and TCG. Starbirth featuring Arceus V-Star, January 14th, 2022 as the first set of the year. 2 weeks later, Legends Arceus released for the Nintendo Switch, a rare case of the set coming before the game. Now, actually, I don't know how much this translates, because apparently V-Star is loosely inspired by the frenzied Pokemon that were blessed by Arceus' power. I guess, like, if we have Starbirth and it's tied to Arceus and it's like the V mechanic, sure, but then we have to wait until April 8th to get the actual, like, Pokemon Legends Arceus set, which is kind of delayed. If we're going from, like, late January into April, you know, like a month and a half, not the 2 weeks that we've been seeing already. So, okay, so later set, like, even if we see a summer set announcement for whatever, like, for Pokemon X and Y stuff, that could still mean, like, yeah, maybe we're getting February, March release for Pokemon Legends ZA. And I don't even think, like, a March release is, oh, the game was delayed for quality. It's just, that was when it felt like the correct time to do Legends Arceus, so who knows. Scarlet and Violet, November 18th. EX released 2 months later. So it actually seems like the time gap is longer than you expect for, like, oh, it's going to be summer or fall 2025. Let's see how this all comes together for Pokemon Legends ZA. For most Pokemon games, TCG set is always within 2 months of the video game it's based on. They also introduced new mechanics loosely inspired by the games. With all this in mind, we can glean from the upcoming schedule about the release of Legends ZA. We only know the game will release in 2025, take place in Lumio City, returns Mega Evolutions. We know Battle Partners will release in Japan on January 24th, first set of 2025. So we already have the first set of 2025 kind of lined up, introduces the new mechanic. The official sell sheet tells us it'll feature characters like N and Lily. None of those characters are associated with Kalos as we know it. Name also makes no obvious reference to Kalos. So yeah, like the January set, like, oh wait, okay, that's just going to not line up with Pokemon Legends ZA. February 21st, 2 pre-constructed decks. The existence of these also implies TCG will be reintroducing owner Pokemon Battle Partners. So I've been, like, keeping up and seeing that news. We also have Glory of Team Rocket. These 2025 releases hint the TCG will be focusing on owners Pokemon, but we don't know what that means for ZA. So he takes all these observations, and it seems like the TCG is stalling for 2025 because we have a beloved mechanic on the table that's ready to be revived with Pokemon Legends ZA, and, like, it doesn't tie in with anything coming up. So if TCG features new mechanics for a handful of sets, this means the owner's mechanic won't be dropped quickly. So it's like, yeah, if we just do a new mechanic, why are we going to drop it immediately for Mega Evolution unless it's going to be later for the Mega Evolution release? New mechanics for handfuls of sets. Defining feature will presumably be Mega Evolution. Therefore, it seems TCG is hinting the ZA set won't come out until at least April. But the TCG will likely feature the owner mechanics for Rocket or even longer, implying a later 2025 release for Pokemon Legends ZA. So it could still be the April set, which then means, like we saw with Pokemon Legends Arceus, can actually just be a January release even for ZA. But then at the bottom, of course, this is all speculation and linear thinking based on the current precedent. I can't account for any curveballs. We should get a better idea at Pokemon Worlds. I'll be at the event to cover news. We're expecting owner Pokemon to be revealed in the TCG. And that's going to be the thing. Like, we have big TCG reveals at Worlds because TCG is the largest event at Worlds. But we also have Pokemon video game news, so it's going to be crazy if like, oh, Pokemon Presents, since we haven't had one since February at Pokemon Worlds, just giving us everything, and then that TCG will tell us right there. So honestly, the timing of this article is good, because by the time Worlds rolls around, we'll have the answers. This is like the pre-Worlds speculation, when's the trailer, when's the new set coming out kind of thing. This article doesn't get a million views. This article doesn't need to exist in a week and a half from now. So like, this is when you put that out there. Can't really gamble an entire reputation to hard stamp this, but yeah, something's going on. Then revise the headline to Pokemon TCG, maybe hinting 2025 release, more accurate conclusion. And then just like, same nonsense. Good. The later it drops, the more likely it'll fill the role to be the annual Pokemon game. Oh, so people are actually... Oh, people don't even want like 2025. That's weird with Nintendo Switch 2. And also, like, now that we have Ilka with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, you know, like, Pokemon Legends Arceus wasn't the main game. Was Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl the main game? See, like, when you do a dual release like that, I think it's better we get a January, February, or March main series game with Pokemon Legends ZA, and then we still get a November 2025 Pokemon game made by Ilka or Game Freak's other development team or something. Pokemon Let's Go Johto. I kind of prefer that on the Nintendo Switch 2 at this point, so it can be bigger, better, and potentially hack-free. But also, we've seen spin-off games. We had Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. Yeah, so the year without a Pokemon game after Pokemon Omega Ruby Now Sapphire, we still had something to go off of. So that'd be kind of cool if that happened regardless. Hopefully it releases later in the year so they have more time to polish it. Which doesn't make sense, because that's not what people said about Pokemon Legends Arceus. And it also got a little bit of extra time anyways, and there hasn't been an example of that much extra time making it to where people don't cry about the Pokemon games anyways. Starbirth more BDSP than a Legends one. Ooh, correct. Because yeah, if you're just thinking like in a Pokemon Legends vacuum, that's the thing. But also, Arceus kind of a big deal when it comes to just Generation 4, and we also had Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. So actually, the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl set being January, desync 2 months from November, and yeah, if there is an announcement Worlds and it's like April for X and Y set, or like a Kalos set, yeah, January's back on the table. Maybe March, but this guy comes in, debunks it. Good thought, but no. TCG largely ignored Brilliant Diamond Shine Pearl. Starbirth was for Legends because it featured V-Star, inspired by the Frenzy Pokemon from the game, so still holding on to that. Again, I haven't dove into that as much for the TCG, but it could be a mix between both. And then the same kind of discussion. So yeah, things are weird right now, and this is what people are trying to come up with. Again, like, you gotta play the game. It's not clickbait. It's not like super duper fake leak, jumping the shark. It's playing on the weirdness of the Pokemon community and the optimism and stuff, especially around something trash like the Pokemon Legends franchise that people get way too excited about. But then we just kind of see the same hypocrisy and inconsistent logic from the Pokemon community as people kind of respond to this, and it won't matter in a week and a half anyways. So I guess we'll just kind of keep an eye on what's going on. But there we go. That's our Pokemon news update for now. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.